Good morning, friends, and welcome to another session. In this session, we'll be looking at how to name bases of hydroxides. Okay, so I believe we can start. There are several bases, but this particular session would focus mainly on bases of hydroxide. This is an hydroxide, OH minus. So whenever you have hydroxide combining with a cation, let's say, let me give you an example, sodium. Whatever is formed is a base. Here in this case it will be sodium hydroxide. So this is a sodium hydroxide base. Anytime you have a compound with this hydroxide inside, this is what we call hydroxide base. And we'll be looking at how to name compounds of this nature. And it's really easy naming compounds of this nature because all you do is to separate the compound into two parts, the cation part. Then you have your anion part. You first name the cation part, then you name the anion part. The anion part will contain the word hydroxide. In between the cation and the anion, you can put a parenthesis with an oxidation number depending on the cation you are dealing with. If the cation is a cation with a variable oxidation state, then the parenthesis will be very important. If the cation is a cation with a fixed oxidation state, then you do not need that parenthesis. You would have to solve these examples for you to appreciate the point I'm making. So let's look at example 1. In example 1, you have this base, and this base has two main substances. So we have calcium 2 plus and the hydroxide anion minus 1. We name the calcium part. When we are done, we name the hydroxide part. So we will start with calcium. Then now we'll be thinking about whether to bring parentheses or not. In the case of calcium, calcium is a group 2 element. Group 2 elements have fixed oxidation numbers. So you do not need the parentheses. So we need to move on to the hydroxide component, this part. So it will be calcium followed by hydroxide. So it's as simple as that. The name of this base will be calcium hydroxide. Let's look at another example. So in this example, we have two items. We have iron and we also have hydroxide base. So we'll name this. So it will be iron. The question is, will there be a parenthesis? The answer is yes. And the reason is that iron has a variable oxidation state. So we need to show the oxidation state of this particular ion in the compound. In this case, the oxidation state of the ion is +1. So we need to show 1. I, Roman numeral I stand for 1. We are done with the parenthesis aspect. So we need to now show our hydroxide components. So that will be this part. So that will be hydroxide. So the name of this compound will be iron 1 hydroxide. Simple as that. Let's look at another example. In this example again, we have iron combine with iron, with hydroxide again. So here the iron, this oxidation number is different, is +2 with our hydroxide, which is -1. So we name the iron first. When we are done, we come to the hydroxide component. So that will give us iron. Please remember iron has variable oxidation state. In this case, it is +2. So that will be II. So iron 2, then we show our hydroxide, hydroxide. So the name of this compound will be iron 2 hydroxide. So let's move on to the next item. We have sodium. In this part, we have sodium plus 1, then OH minus 1. We name this, when you are done, we name this. So our sodium will come first. Do we need parentheses? No, because sodium has a fixed oxidation number, which is 1. It's in group 1. Group 1 element have fixed oxidation state of 1. So we don't need parentheses. Then followed by our hydroxide. That will be hydroxide. Sorry. Let's look at another example. We have this example. Here we have copper +2 combined with hydroxide, which is -1. So we name our copper and we name our hydroxide. So let's start. So that will be copper. Copper, we know, is one of the elements with variable oxidation state. So we need to show the oxidation state of the copper. Here in this case, it is +2. So that will be II. Then we bring our hydroxide. Very simple, isn't it? Then I believe we would have to look at another example. So that's our next example. Probably that will be our last example. So here we have potassium combined with hydroxide to form the compound. We name this, when we are done, we name this. So that will be potassium. Do we bring parentheses? The answer is no, because potassium is in group 1, and group 1 element have fixed oxidation state of +1. So we do not need the oxidation state in parentheses. We just move straight away to the hydroxide. That will give us the hydroxide. And we are done. So potassium hydroxide. So that will bring us to the end of today's lesson on how to name bases of hydroxide. Please subscribe to the channel if you've already not done that, and share the video with your friends who are struggling in integrated science. We'll meet again in the next session. See you, and take very good care of yourselves.